Welcome to Brand News Podcast. I'm your host, Charlotte Emily, a fashion podcast sharing news behind brands. Each episode will speak to people from within the industry to get a better understanding of their job roles, as well as discussing the latest fashion news. Welcome, Stephany.
Thank you for inviting me. It's so exciting.
So happy to have you here. You have a really impressive CV. I'm just going to jump right to it. Mm-hmm. Really impressive CV. You started out in PR, eventually moving through a lot of different roles, and most recently, Global Media Innovation Strategy Manager at H&M. Like, you have such amazing accomplishments. I can't wait to hear everything about it. We'll dive into it. But I wanted to start out with, how did you choose to start working in PR?
Oh, that's a good question. I think also at the time when I was still studying, I think PR was one of the first areas that I thought could be very interesting to work with brands. It was always my mission to, make sure that brands can grow, but also in a broad sense, like founders of brands themselves, reaching a different audience. So I thought PR is a good starting point. So that's in a way where it kicked off and where I'm back at now as well.
You've moved around quite a bit for your job, and most recently you've come back to Amsterdam. You moved to Zurich? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Just checking if I was correct. How was that moving for the job? You're moving your whole life around. You've been to more places than just Zurich and Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Because I was born and raised in Rotterdam, and then I've always lived there. And then my first move was basically to Zurich. But I think it was the best decision ever to do that. And so I really followed I really wanted to do my dream job, and there was an opportunity to do it there. Yeah. So it was actually quite easy to pick everything up and just go.
Yeah, because it was your dream job. Yeah. So before that, so you studied PR, then you started out as your first job at an agency, I believe.
Yes, because I started communication science. Yeah. So it's quite broad. You can do so many things with it. And then I started up in like a very small PR agency and worked a lot with their showroom and working with the different brands, sending out press releases. Yeah.
Nice. And how, because I believe that you started at the H&M Group quite early on in your career, and you stayed on for quite a while.
Yeah, I was there for almost 11 years, which is very long.
Yeah. And how did you, so you started out there at the H&M Group and moved your way through also other brands within the company?
Exactly, but I actually started in store. So people often ask, how can it be 11 years?
Yeah.
But I started in store while I was still studying.
Yeah.
And from there, actually, when I was graduating from my master's degree, a position opened up, which was called New Marketing at the time, which today is digital media buying, influencer marketing. Yeah. But this is already almost 10 years ago. And from that role, I started to grow throughout the company. I did different positions. I worked in customer loyalty at some point, so organizing different events for customers, but also figuring out how we can retain them, how can we activate them in the right way. And from there, I basically went to Switzerland to do my dream job then. Cute. So, then I did a lot of different other things.
Yeah. So, the dream job part, what is it? What was that?
Well, I always said when I started at H&M that by 25, I would become head of marketing for H&M in a different market, not in the Netherlands. And I guess I manifested it a bit also.
Congrats.
But it was very much my dream. So my manager supported me a lot in that, and our managing director as well. So when actually in Switzerland, the team was doing a bit of a reorg and restructuring, and they wanted to have more of a digital approach in their marketing, because I shifted in a way from PR focus to working a lot on marketing. Okay. So I made that shift throughout already in the Netherlands. And then for Switzerland, I was going to make that shift for them as well, having this digital focus. So I took the opportunity because there were so many different jobs that I could have done there. Yeah. I said, I really would like to take on this challenge and take on my first official manager role as well.
That's amazing. For someone that's listening and doesn't really know the PR side of fashion, how would you explain it to someone?
Well, basically PR stands for earned. It's an earned approach. So you want to get coverage for your brands through an earned media approach, which is unpaid. So it's a lot based on having the right relationships, knowing what different journalists are working on, what editors are working on, so you can also support them with the stories that they're trying to bring, and collaborating very strongly with the brand to know which stories you can pitch, what are the key focus areas, how to make their brand especially locally relevant.
Yeah.
So this is, of course, through media coverage, but it can be through local events, collaborating with key creators in the market or people of influence, so that you get the message of the brand out, but through a local way. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But there's so much more.
Yeah. And how is the difference? How would you explain the difference working in PR for a company? So like you've done for H&M, for example, or doing PR for an agency, which I know you also have experience in, so you work with multiple brands.
Yes. I think working on it in-house, it's more about... It's a lot of cross-functional alignment because you need to be on the same page. You need to figure out what will be your key messaging, what are the key campaigns that you want to focus on.
Yeah.
And I did it mostly in-house from a marketing perspective, I would say. So it is a lot of paid media behind it as well, instead of only earned media.
Yeah.
But it's very much this collaboration between the marketing department and the PR department to figure out how can we leverage then our paid efforts and what can we get out of that as well on an unpaid basis.
Yeah.
So in-house, you're more of discussing what you want to put out, and you often work with agencies. So also through H&M, we would work with an agency and get the message out, especially on a global level. And from a local level, the local teams would ensure that these messages go out. And then working at an agency in-house, in a way you're not diving that deep into one brand, right? So you're working across a different portfolio. So then you ensure that you really balance it out and figure out, okay, which brands are relevant now for this edit or for this editorial calendar, what makes sense for this number, for this issue, how can we get that out? And also keeping very much an eye on the local market. So it's more from, I would say in-house, you look at it very high level. And from a in-house at an agency, you look at it from the market perspective very specifically and ensuring that you can get your message out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good explanation. You mentioned managing teams. I was just wondering, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I can imagine in your position you would work with other jobs like maybe copywriters or different teams. How do you collaborate with other departments so you kind of make sure that there's a like cohesive brand message going out?
Yeah, I think especially during my time at Monkey, I worked a lot with many different departments. It was, of course, also on a global level. Marketing comes very widely. So I think it's all about also sitting together. I think it's also maybe a bit of a Swedish way finding consensus with each other. But people have so many different perspectives and expertises. So it can help with campaigns to really align with everyone. And I think as a leader, it's very important to build some kind of structure for the team. So they have these formats where they can voice their perspectives and opinions, that we reach certain decisions, and that everyone also clearly knows what they need to do within a certain time frame. Yeah. So I think that has been my responsibility a lot. And if I look at it today, it's basically similar. We don't work perhaps that much with copywriters or creators in that sense. It's quite a lot of comms managers in my team, comms advisors, so different levels of experience. And it's about, bringing them together as a team as well, and that we reach our goals. So being very much, a cohesive team.
Cohesive, the good word. How do you stay innovative in your approach to PR? And also because like fashion and media change so quickly.
I think it's a lot about doing your research. I think understanding your market really well, especially now that I work on a Benelux level, so diving more deeper into the media landscape, what is happening, what is changing. Also being in dialogue with the people that you work with a lot. So not only the brands, but especially also influencer agencies, journalists, editors, to ensure that you know what is happening and what are they working on, what are they thinking about. So I think that helps a lot. And also a lot of brainstorming and daring to step outside of the box, which sometimes I can also catch myself that you think very pragmatically because, this will not be feasible or this won't work, this will cost too much.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite good to do more of these bigger brainstorms and that you dare to dream big and think big and then figure out, okay, but how can we do it in a smart way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any particular project that comes to mind that you've worked on?
What can I say? I can maybe a highlight project. It was actually my last project before I left to move to Zurich. It was a project for the designer collaboration between Erdem and H&M. So this was in 2017. And it was the first time that we actually prioritized our customers. I was working in customer loyalty. Normally, it's of course media, it's press, VIPs getting the first scoop, and they can shop the collection as first. They get all the information, they get a preview. But this time we took a different approach. So we put the customers truly first, and they were the first ones that saw the collection, that shopped it. And it was a whole experience in a beautiful townhouse, which fits Erdem super well. And up until today, these customers will still write me. Like, I still wear this piece, or it was such a lovely experience because they were, the first one in the market. It was super special. They had a full experience after that as well, like a very nice curated dinner. It was, I still look back at that and I think it was such a nice approach to have to really put your customer as the first one.
How did this come about?
Discussing it with the PR team because, of course, it's very important to them as well that they can give the VIPs and media and so on the first chance to see an exclusive collection like that. But it was also part of our goals to really put the customer in the center and see what we can do to make them more loyal and how we can also give back to these customers that shop with us so much. So through those discussions and I think also building a plan together because the customers went first to shop the collection and it was a bit of like a switcheroo. So then we left to our dinner location and that's like after a few minutes, then press and media came in. So no one ever saw each other. So there was like a big switch, which was very, very nice. And at the end of the day, the customers were super happy. The media were happy. So it was a win-win, I would say, from a PR perspective as well as a marketing perspective to have them both. And we actually took inspiration. It was in terms of content and how we communicated about it, which was from actually a video clip from Rihanna at the time.
Oh, wow.
Now I forget what was the name of the song. I need to look it up. But it was like a short snippet. It wasn't even... Probably people don't even know this video clip that much because it's not a popular song. It was a short one.
Okay.
But the whole vibe, the whole energy fitted Erdem so well. And we thought, what if we can bring the magic of the concept that she created to this event as well?
Wow. That's a great story. In previous episodes, we've spoken about topics like how fast the industry changes and maybe things behind the scenes that happen. Do you have an example of a time when you maybe had to adopt your PR strategy because of an unexpected change or...
Yeah, sure. I think especially throughout COVID, for example, we had to change our communication a lot. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of stores were closing. Of course, people couldn't, they were very restricted. So we had to shift a lot of things. Also, we had campaigns that were about being outside or having fun with friends and going to parties and these type of things. And of course, we couldn't put those type of campaigns out. Yeah. So we also had to reflect that and think about, okay, but what is our customer doing right now? And how can we bring a little bit of joy and a feeling of togetherness to them? So we did different campaigns, like coming together in a digital way or going old school and maybe, having a call with your friends instead of just sending text and so on and doing all these video calls. So it was just looking into different approaches of how we could bring that to life. We also had a very important summer campaign coming up. It was all about, and at the time the restrictions were easing up. So then you could also do something around, coming together in a small format instead of having a huge, perhaps summer party or something. Yeah. So we had to adapt a lot related to that. Yeah, I think that was one. Yeah,
good example. definitely. Every episode will highlight some of the fashion news headlines, what's happening in fashion right now and why. And the top 5 brand new headlines this episode are: there are some rumours flying around saying that Simon from Jacquemus will be the new artistic director of Givenchy.
No way, I haven't heard this.
Angelina Jolie has opened her first store with Atelier Jolie, a place for creative people to collaborate. There were some amazing winners of the British Fashion Awards, like Martine Rose for British Menswear Designer of the Year, Jonathan Anderson for Designer of the Year, and Paloma Elsesser for Model of the Year. So amazing names. Vogue Business dropped an article with the headline, "How long should brands give a creative director to succeed?" That made me laugh, to be honest. There's been so many changes in 2023, and the article actually starts off saying that there are more anticipated in 2024, so exciting times. And Business of Fashion came out with an article, again, really made me laugh, saying that the Chanel show in Manchester should be called Shanchester.
Okay. All right.
So, Stephany, you mentioned wanting to speak about the Vogue's Debunking the Dream article. We have spoken about this before, but I feel like we saved up the conversation to chat about in the podcast.
Yeah, we will have it now.
Yeah. So for someone who hasn't read these, I'll just quickly explain. There are 4 articles that you can read via the Vogue Business website. They're called Debunking the Dream series. They actually dropped on the 5th of September 2023, and they are 4 quite excessive or should I say long articles. They're called, the first one is working in fashion going out of style. The second one is who is allowed to succeed in fashion, where they focus on how a person's background can impact their success. The third is called Is Fashion's Lifestyle Sustainable for Employees? Which focuses on the lifestyle that a successful career in fashion demands. And the last one is Can Fashion Cool Its Burnout Culture? So they're a series based on an exclusive survey which over 600 fashion professionals filled out. And there were like 2 key questions I read. So the first one was, what does it take to reach a certain level of success in fashion? And the second one was, what does it take to stay happy at that level? Some major topics. The articles are, I have sent them through a lot. It is really interesting. Why have you chosen these to discuss today?
Well, you recommended this series already quite some time ago. And I think I read them 4 weeks ago, and it really resonated with me. And I've also been sharing it with a lot of people and discussing it. Because, of course, it has been my dream to work in fashion already for many, many years. And I am very grateful to work within fashion, and it remains my passion. But, of course, there's positive sides, there's negative sides to the industry in itself. And I think this article just put everything in a very real way.
Yeah.
Also, this week I was talking with a few students at the University of Amsterdam, and a lot of them had the ambition to work in fashion. I said, but read this series, because it also gives a bit of a reality check, because fashion as an industry can be so glamorized and fun events and so on. And of course they are there, and I enjoy those as well. But it's a small part of everything that happens behind the scenes. And of course I've worked a lot behind the scenes at different companies for different brands as well. So it was just, I don't know. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, this is true. Check. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see maybe a kind of follow-up, or how I know for myself, like, how people are reacting to this, and everyone is very agrees. But I feel like that is kind of what they're trying to say. Like, everyone knows, everyone is aware, but still it exists. And with it exists, I mean like the culture and problems that the industry has. what impact have maybe some of the subjects in the articles had on you?
Well, it made me reflect a lot because I also took a lot of time to read through them. I didn't like just scan through, but really took the time to digest everything that they were saying. I also took notes while reading the articles and writing down different thoughts.
I also made sure to like not read all 4 of them in one go, but I read one and then like thought about it, and because they are quite long articles, and there's big words and statements and
very interesting people as well that they have been interviewing and quoting. I think it especially made me reflect because it also made me think about, which is a question I ask myself as I've been working in fashion now for maybe 11 years, something like that. So it also made me think about my own experiences and how the journey has been. I started working in a store in retail, so that's my first, let's say, touch point with fashion in that sense. And it was a bit of a reality check, like things that you might put away. And I think I know by myself, like fashion is two-sided. Sometimes you can love it, sometimes you love it less. So to say, I won't use hate. So it also pointed out different things throughout the article and how tough the industry can be, because that's what a lot of people ask. How do you break through, or how do you start? Where do you start? And how many jobs are unpaid for a very long time, especially in the beginning. Yeah. And I've been through the same route. I started doing so many unpaid projects, unpaid jobs, next to working in a store and studying, but all because I wanted to follow this passion and end up in this industry. Yeah. So it costs a lot. I think you invest a lot as a person into working in fashion. I feel like a lot of your own energy, your time, you always give a bit more because you also know there are so many fun things as well on the other side that you can be a part of. So it made me think a lot about that. It also, like I said, it also made me think about this bigger question that I have: will I forever work in fashion, or where do I see myself heading? Because it is a dream in a way to work in fashion, but also quite a reality of how it can be.
Debunking
the dream, basically. So they said it really well. Yeah. And also I've been thinking a lot about, especially that they touch on, for example, the opportunities for marginalized groups within the fashion industry. And from my own experience, I've been the only Black woman, the only Black manager as well in different leadership teams that I've been a part of. So I could really resonate with that. And I think there needs to be more of a structural change. And it's something that I'm discussing a lot within my environment, but also through my own mentoring company about what does it truly mean to have a seat at a table. And yesterday I talked to someone, they said, there is this table that you can sit on, but there's also another table. Yeah. So that made me laugh, but it's so true. So I'm also, I don't know, it just made me think a lot about these more... the people side of fashion, because it's often forgotten. It's a lot about the product, it's about the brand and the great things that they do, but there's so many people behind the scenes working on getting these things out or developing a brand, and this is often forgotten. Yeah,
absolutely. Can I ask how it feels for you? You just mentioned being the only Black person or woman in a certain role, or a seat at the table. And also in relevance to this debunking the dream, because the second article definitely focuses a lot on that. Did you resonate with that article, and how does that feel? How's that been for you?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I think in the beginning, I was very much proud to be able to get this seat, right? And to be part of a management team, or to be part of a brand, or to be able to work with different brands and so on. But I think also with the time, I got more frustrated that I also felt like, well, why am I the only one? Yeah. I just couldn't understand, like there must be more talented Black women. I just can't imagine that they are not there. And I know them as well.
Of course,
So, and not only Black women, I think in general, people of color, BIPOC communities and so on. And I just started to get really frustrated. I didn't want to be the only one. I didn't want to every time be the only one at the table, or having to also be put in a place that you're the voice for a certain community, because I can speak for myself. I cannot speak for a full community. So I found that quite hard along my career. In the beginning, it starts, of course, with a feeling of being proud and being eager to drive change, but you also start to realize you can't drive change by yourself.
Yeah.
And of course, you sit with more people at the table, don't get me wrong. But it's quite often similar profiles, similar backgrounds, similar cultures, and so on. So it's quite hard that you have to also clarify where you're coming from or why you have a different perspective. And I've really been thinking a lot and speaking a lot about taking a seat at the table is one thing, but what happens afterwards? How do you create this inclusive space, a safe space where people can be heard? That you also ensure that they can voice themselves, that they can have a different opinion, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I think I everything that was in the article, I thought, I've experienced that.
Yeah.
And I don't have the answers myself of how the change could be driven. I would just love to see more different people seated at the table, or seeing people from different backgrounds, from different cultures, different walks of life, especially as well, to be able to have a voice and to also make a change truly.
Yeah. Do you feel beautifully answered, by the way? The article also says that there's a lot of talk about change, and there's a lot of talk about brands being inclusive, but actually they're not, or the industry is not, let's say. Do you also feel that way? Yeah, I always say, like, change takes time. So I understand that as well. Yeah.
Because I already think it's a big step that certain voices can have an opinion and are heard, because it's not, of course, not in every situation that you aren't heard or you can't make the change, but it just takes a lot of time and patience.
Yeah.
And it takes more people to be able to create this change. But I also feel that a lot of people in the industry can also be a bit tired of waiting for this change to come, or making a lot of efforts to drive change, but it just doesn't happen. It takes so much energy and effort to break through certain barriers or certain standards that have been there, certain ways that have been established for years and years. So it just takes a lot of hard
time.
work.
Yeah. Do you feel that you personally see a change if, say, for example, you compare like when you started out like 11 years ago, as you said, has fashion changed for you?
I think yes and no. I think in a certain way it has changed, because I see more different people, diverse people, also people coming from a different background. You don't always have to have fashion education to end up in fashion. Like you can come from any area and any walk of life. I think having this motivation and passion for the industry is really important. Yeah. So I think that has been changing a lot. So I've also been seeing people of color being appointed for certain high roles, like an editor-in-chief role, or being asked to take certain projects, take on certain functions, especially management and leadership functions in companies. So I think it has been changing more. Yeah. And I would say I was one of them that also then took that type of position. But still, like I said, then I'm the only one, right? So there's still a lot to happen there. And I think a lot of companies have been made very well aware about the importance of diversity and inclusion, through their workshops and so on. But it was very much needed for them to understand why it is important, what does it truly mean, and what does it mean to certain communities and certain people. However, I feel like they have the knowledge, perhaps by now, or a base knowledge, but walking the talk, this is still missing. So also taking the right actions to make people feel included, I think that is still very much missing. And that will take some time. Yeah,
definitely. I know that because I know you personally, but I know that you are also very busy with driving change, you're setting up your own company, which I think is beautiful, and you're definitely, I can see it already, you're going to make a change. So for someone listening, can you explain what you're working on right now?
Yeah, I like that you say that I'm going to make a change.
Absolutely.
I'm already making a change. I'm trying. But yeah, I'm the founder of a mentoring or personal development platform. It's called FE, which stands for Faith and Trust in Creole Portuguese. I'm also Cape Verdean. We speak Creole Portuguese. And it's something that my parents always said to me. Like anything that happens, always have faith in yourself, believe in yourself. Don't focus on these external factors, but focus on what you can do and believing in what you can do. So this is something that I've been thinking about. And actually recently I was clearing out all my notes in my phone. And then I wrote down this idea during 2020.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't do anything with it. I only started with it maybe like a year ago. And so during 2022... But it felt like the right timing. I came back to the Netherlands. I moved back for the first time in Amsterdam then. And I just had headspace and time to think about other things. And I started FE because I felt like a lot of people miss a mentor that can guide them in their development. I missed that as well a lot throughout my career. I think in the beginning of my career, not that much. I had a really great mentor and manager, and she really helped me a lot. She believed in me a lot, and in my ideas and the things that I pitched to her. But along the way, I started to miss that as well. And especially someone that you can also, relate to and that you can see yourself in. So I wanted to be that change in a way that people can resonate with me as a person, with my beliefs and my values, and also the path that I've had throughout my career. And this is something that I'm trying to convey with FE by offering these more like mentoring sessions with different mentees and supporting them, especially in their personal development. I'm not helping anyone with their hard skills and how to do a certain task, because I have people working in healthcare, working on building their own business or working in marketing and comms, but I'm especially there to support them in developing the how, so more of the soft skills, their focus on their personal development, because I noticed like in companies, it's often about crossing off these tasks, doing certain projects, landing the campaigns, doing them in the right way, but it's so much forgotten, like all the other soft skills and things you will need throughout your career to be able to continue to grow as well. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely beautiful what you're
you.
doing, and especially if we like tie it into this conversation, like there's a lot that can be changed, and you're definitely setting an example, and
thank you.
It's very beautiful. So congratulations on that. And I think we've reached the end of the podcast. It was great speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts. And
likewise, this was really fun.
Yeah, right?
Went by quick.
It went by really quick. Thank you.
Thanks.